champion and the current heavyweight champion have similar backgrounds. Their development and outcome are vastly different.
The difference between me and Mike Tyson's upbringing was that, I had a loving mother. I had people around me who cared. Whereas with Mike, I guess, he was pressed by himself for, a lot of times.
Oh, I see. Riddick Bowe showed up.
Maybe Riddick's accept one of the offers and brought a contract along.
I'm here to announce my next 2 fights. Thank God we aren't fighting Lennox Lewis.
The WBC champion Lennox Lewis isn't impressed with what he feels as Riddick Bowe's avoiding a unification bout. Riddick Bowe has emerged from the inner city, wrought with poverty and hardships, to capture the greatest title in the world, the heavyweight championship belt. He has followed in the footsteps of his idol, as he calls him, the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Bowe's journey to the top culminated last November in Las Vegas after a stirring and spirited performance over a game of Evander Holyfield. But controversy has emerged during Riddick Bowe's short reign at the top. First, the WBC stripped Bowe after he failed to sign on to fight its #1 contender, Lennox Lewis. Bowe showed the WBC what he thought of their belt and what they could do with it. Then, after pummeling an aged former champion in Michael Dokes, Bowe has been called upon to defend his title against a more qualified brand of opponent. But through it all, one thing has been for certain. Riddick Bowe has grasped a sport that's been surrounded with mediocre personalities and performances. And as Charlie Steiner found out, Riddick Bowe has breathed new life into an ailing entity.
In a nutshell, who is Riddick Bowe?
He's kind, he's handsome.
I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat.
You're gonna float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Ah, rumble, young man, rumble. Ah.
How did you get into fighting?
Well, a school teacher, she brought in a tape about Muhammad Ali. I think he was getting ready for perhaps his first fight with Smoking Joe Frazier. And the class was supposed to do an essay on it. And I guess I kind of took to Ali, and there was this other fellow in the class who was crazy about Joe Frazier, and he said that Joe Frazier would knock out Muhammad Ali. I didn't like that. And so he came over there bobbing and weaving and carrying on, and I stepped back and popped him 2 or 3 times, and we both were sent to the principal's office. And then the next day, the teacher asked me if I wanted to box, and she called over New York, and I found a couple of gyms so that I can go to, and I've been boxing ever since.
What was it about Ali that he became your role model?
Oh, definitely. I guess his personality, the attention he received. I thought it would be fun if I got some of that. So, I guess at the beginning of my career, I kind of thought I was Ali.
Grew up in Brownsville.
Mm-hmm.
And the housing project was known as Gunsmoke City?
Well, that's what we called it.
Why?
Well, because, you can hear, gunshots any time of the day. And actually, sometimes you can go out in the hallway and you see the gun smoke.
How did you survive it?
Well, I think having positive role models, I had a strong mother. And I guess by me wanting to be positive, I was able to stay away from various different situations.
When you grow up surrounded by the things that you were surrounded by, weapons, drugs, not a lot of nice folks, how were you able to get by when so many couldn't and didn't? What did you have?
Well, I just focused on, wanting big and better things, not letting them, get to me or bother me because I know a lot of people say, man, you're wasting your time. What you going to the gym for every day? And those same people now say, man, look, yeah, I know you could do it, Like, yeah, okay, whatever.
And it was because of Ali, who was your role model, that you were able to focus your life?
On boxing, but then I had my own hero, who was my mother. She was very strong. She didn't use drugs. She always told me to go to school, stay out of the streets, and So I guess by looking and listening to her, it paid off.
How was she able to do? She was a single mother.
Single mother.
13 kids.
All by herself.
How did you survive?
Well, you know, I guess, you know, love plays a big part. And not wanting to disappoint her. We look at guys like Ali and who are great, but she's a real champion, you know, and these are the people that aren't mentioned. And Mom, thanks for being, I love you.
What's so striking to me is that basically your upbringing was no different than
From
Mike
yours.
Tyson's.
No, from yours.
Well, my family was a bit smaller than yours.
Well, I think the difference between me and Mike Tyson's upbringing was that, you know, I had a loving mother. I had people around me who cared. Whereas with Mike, I guess, you know, I guess, you know, he was perhaps by himself, you know, a lot of times. He had no supervision. And I think that makes a big difference.
What are your recollections about Soul?
In the gold medal match, I feel like, you know, the referee, you know, he troubled me a lot, and he didn't give me the right commands after he separated. Well, Lennox Lewis, he did hit me with a pretty decent right hand. And he never gave us the command in the box. If you ever watch the tape, Lennox just hits me with a right hand. So at that point, I'm confused, and I turned to my corner to see if they would give me any instruction. I raised my hands to indicate that I was okay, and he just stopped the match.
You pointed out that a lot of people, in fact, I think most people, had no idea what was going on in your life at that time. The sister, I gather, with whom you were closest.
Extremely close.
Brenda.
Brenda.
You want to tell?
Well, prior to the games, she was murdered, you know, for her public assistance check, and she had 4 kids she had to feed with that check. And so, you know, Brenda has a lot of fight in her, and so she didn't want to give the check up, and I guess whoever wanted to take it from her, they stabbed her, you know, several times.
How did it affect your concentration and your preparation for the fight?
Well, you know, a lot of nights, you know, I would, you know, lay in the bed and cry, and in the morning I would get up and run like, you know, everything was okay.
That must have been hard.
Extremely hard. But, you know, again, I wanted to go medal. I wanted to go medal for myself and for my country, and I just knew I could do it.
And so when they stopped the fight on you, what was that like?
Well, I just couldn't believe it, and all I could do is do this and just believe. And for some reason, a lot of people feel like I quit, and I don't see how they could say that.
The ultimate vindication could be a victory over Lennox Lewis in a fight that seems inevitable. But until that happens, Riddick Bowe should continue to dominate a very weak